But I think we both know what men are like.
The difficulty to analyze Eyes Wide Shut could be summed up by a single word: both.
And at that moment, my love for you was both.
It was great seeing you both.
But I think we both know.
Very lovely to meet you.
A necessity for both parties.
Eyes Wide Shut is not about the male, and neither it is about the female. It's about how both are joined. It's the join in the middle, which seems to have everything to do with being a human being.
We're private people. We are human beings. You know, we are human beings.
In contrast to being an individual. It's the middle ground, the thing in between, the bothness, which is central in Eyes Wide Shut. And it's the number 13, which seems to embody this middle ground, this bothness. Therefore, Kubrick's 13th film is about the bothness of things. It's about finding yourself on highly ambiguous middle ground. Let's just first watch a few scenes where we can see how and why Kubrick places the number 13 in the middle. Here we see two shots which are joined by a cross dissolve. In the first shot we hear 12 notes. In the second shot we hear 14 notes. Which suggests that the cross dissolve placed in the middle of the two shots belongs to the number 13. Here, Kubrick takes the same 12, 13, 14 series, but now he places them in one shot. In the first half of the shot, we see the number 12, which is hidden right here. In the second half of the shot, we see the number 14. Now the middle ground of this shot appears to be the mailbox. So you could say, okay, the mailbox being associated with the number 13 is just an assumption. But let's now watch this shot. When the stalker takes his 13th step, he is seen behind a mailbox. Or you could say he steps inside the mailbox. If we count the steps in this shot, from the first audible step, we count exactly 13 steps at the moment William is presented behind a mailbox. What's also interesting in this shot is that a red and a blue car pass the mailbox. The colors blue and red play an important role in Eyes Wide Shut, because when the pigments red and blue are combined, it gives the color purple, the color of both. The middle ground color. Also in behind the scenes footage, Kubrick places the colors red and blue in the middle or in the heart of the screen. And it's the blue and red we also see at the heart of Leonardo da Vinci's painting, The Last Supper. So it's the color purple, red and blue combined, which emphasizes the middle ground or bothness in Eyes Wide Shut. Therefore it's interesting that a red and a blue car pass the mailbox. The mailbox is a box for both senders and receivers. In other words, it's a symbol for bothness. Just as a letter is a symbol for bothness, as it belongs to both sender and receiver. Two final examples. When William approaches the college kids, we first see the number 12 right here. Then, when William is checked against the car, we see the number 13 reflected in the window. Here again, William stands in front of the number 13 as there are 13 points in the Christmas tree. Also, the word Christmas tree consists of 13 letters. And then when William walks further, we see the number 14 presented as a doubled 7 right here. The doubled 7 has to do with Kubrick himself, as his name consists out of 2 times 7 is 14 letters. That's why we hear 2 weeks, as in 2 times 7, inside Dr. Strangelove.
It's down to a safe level after 2 weeks.
Full Metal Jacket.
Art's Walk show is going to go out on TV in 2 weeks.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Well, it's just that for the past 2 weeks.
And also here, An Ice White Shot.
We hope you enjoyed the music tonight. We're going to be here for the next 2 weeks.
I lost in 2 weeks a lot of hair.
What's also interesting in this shot is when William is checked against the car, he joins, so to speak, a blue and a red car. And here we see a purple glow, which again is a combination of the colors blue and red. So again, the bothness is emphasized. And most important, the number 13 again is presented as the middle or central number. Another way of showing that the number 13 is the number of both is found in this scene. We see Sandor Savost and Alice Harford, male and female, rotating exactly 13 times. Which implies that the number 13 is the number which joins both male and female. Also, the name Sandor Savost consists of 13 letters, and as we can see later on, the number 13 also is the number which joins both body and spirit. Interestingly, the name of the actor who plays Sandor Savost is Sky Dumont. Sky refers to spirit, and Dumont is a French surname. Mont is French for earth. So we have sky and earth, spirit and matter. Though Sky Dumont was born in Argentina, he is a German actor.
Nie gehört den Namen. Jetzt falle ich nicht gleich vom Stuhl, aber der Mann hat recht.
The word du is German for you. So what we get out of his name is that Sky Dumont actually means that you are both sky and earth, spirit and matter. But again, that's something to return to later on in this video. So Ice White Shot is Kubrick's 13th film, which means that Ice White Shot is about both the number 1 and the number 3. Number 1 represents the male, the object, the particle. Number 3 represents the female, the subject, the wave. Dr. William Bill Harford has straight hair, because he represents the straight number 1. Alice Harford has curled hair, because she represents the curled number 3. The hair gel stiffens Bill's hair, which emphasizes the straightness of his hair. Here we see a perfect straight hair split representing the number 1. And here again we see Alice emphasizing with a straight finger, a straight line onto Bill's hair. And here also we see Bill's hair representing the straight number 1. There's also many occasions where we could see Alice's hair in the shape of the number 3. Here we see a perfect number 3. Here we see the number 3. And here we see the number 3. And here we see a flipped number 3, which we can also see here, for example. Yet obviously the interesting thing is that the number 3 is associated with the straight line, the number 1. This stresses the importance of the interplay between the number 1 and the number 3. It's not about the numbers individually, it's about the number 1 and 3 at the same time. If we switch back to this shot, we clearly see the number 3 being associated with the number 1, which is represented by the spaghetti strap. On the other side, we see again the number 3 being associated with the number 1. So because it's about the interplay between the numbers 1 and 3, the number 13 and 31 are redeemable. What's important is the interplay between the curls and the straights, the female and the male. Here, Sandor Savost says,
The ones they really wanted.
The word they in this case refers to women, so with the ones Sondersavost means the males. In the mansion, we also see the interplay between the curled number 3 and the straight number 1. The mysterious woman is presented with a 3 and a 1 on both sides, just like Alice already was presented with a 3 and a 1 on both sides. It's a continuous switching, a continuous interplay between the 1 and the 3, the male and the female. Here we see the number 3 on the door. Here in another shot of the same door, we have a better view of the number 3. The number 3 is associated with the female. Then the female is associated with the Christmas tree, or the Christmas 3. The male character is not associated with the number 3, as he doesn't pass the number 3. Yet it's the female character which moves the number 3 into the male character. The male character is the number 1, which is represented by the straight line. So here we have a female associated with the number 3, moving the number 3 into the male, or the number 1. Then the female closes the door, which means that the number 3 and the number 1 now are joined, or female and male character are joined. And this is shown in different ways. The female joins the male, the number 1, with the 3 or the 3, yet the 3 itself consists of all little straight lines or number 1s. This is a way of showing that the number 3 also is the number 1, that 3 and 1 are redeemable. They are in a continuous switching mode, just as one of the college kids says,
"What team's this switch hitter playing for?"
In Eyes Wide Shut, things just keep switching on and off. Same thing we see with the female character, the number 3, who is presented with all straight lines, all number 1s. So again we see the number 3, the female, also being the number 1. Then we see the male, the number 1, pointing at the 3. He points with one finger, implying the number 1. Again, the 3 and the 1 are represented as redeemable. At the moment the male character says,
Nice tree.
The male puts both hands into his pockets, implying that he's both number 1 and 3. Right after this moment he is joined with the female character, whose hand moves over the 3 to eventually show 3 fingers. Here in this shot we see a male mannequin being associated with the number 1. Next to this male mannequin we see another male mannequin. Interestingly, the male character moves his hand over the area where we see the number 1 in the other mannequin. In this way, one hand of the male character is associated with the number 1. The other hand is associated with the number 3. It's as if the male character is pulling his hand out of the 3. And then when he stands between the number 1 and the number 3, he joins both his hands. He rubs both his hands to show the interplay between the number 1 and the number 3, to show that the number 1 and 3 are redeemable. We already saw how in the mansion the number 3 is associated with the number 1. Interestingly, this shot is quite similar to this shot. On the right we see a 3, and on the left side we see a straight line, which is created out of the contrast between light and dark. And to show that the number 3 and 1 are married, so to speak, Alice emphasizes the number 3 and 1 with her wedding ring. Here the number 3 is emphasized, and here the number 1. Alice's ring finger then joins a male and a female in the background. Again, male and female, 1 and 3, are joined. Then Alice's ring finger and little finger are presented as 2 joined bows, as in the double bow of the number 3. Out of this double bow moves the index finger, which is presented as a straight line. And it's the straight line, the number 1, that eventually joins female and male. So in this way, male and female, 1 and 3, are in constant interplay, in continuous switching mode. In Eyes Wide Shut, One can never really tell if one's looking at a male or a female, at a 1 or a 3. Which takes us to something Carl Jung wrote in the Red Book. In the documentary Carl Jung, Matter of Heart, Jung says the following.
I was always looking for something in between, you know, something that linked that remote past with the present moment.
It's quite fascinating that Carl Jung and Stanley Kubrick were born on the same date, July 26. So it's all the more fascinating that Kubrick obviously made references to Jung in his films.
I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir.
The what?
The duality of man, the Jungian thing, sir.
So there's an interesting parallel between Jung and Kubrick for sure. Jung talks about something in between. Kubrick shows the bothness of things. And it's not only in his movies that he shows this also in the so-called behind the scenes or between takes footage. And already in his earliest work, Kubrick seems to be aware of the in-betweenness or bothness of things. Here, in Fear and Desire, Kubrick's first feature film, Lieutenant Corby says,
"You see both,"
which sounds like you see both. Also, Lieutenant Corby stresses both men behind him when he says both, and again when he says
our boat.
The two men behind him are emphasized. Then we switch to the female, who also says
both,
as in both. And interestingly, we hear Lieutenant Corby, the male character, saying both while we are still looking at a female character. And it's directly after the word both that we switch from the female to the male character.
Yes, that's it. Boat.
Then again, the male character says,
"You see boat?"
And again he stresses both men behind him. But now, right at the moment he says both, the perspective switches from male to female.
"You see boat?"
So again, it's the bothness that is extremely emphasized here on different levels. 4 years earlier, in 1949, Kubrick made this picture for Look magazine. Again, it's the bothness or in-betweenness which is stressed. Between the two females, there's a male, and between the two males, there's a female. It's like the yin-yang symbol. Inside yin, there's also yang, and inside yang, there's also yin. Of course, the place where all our attention flows to is the place between the female and the male character. There's a cigarette and a little fire at the center of the picture, and it seems to be the fire and the cigarette that join both female and male. Which takes us to this shot again in Eyes Wide Shut. We see Alice smoking a joint, as in the place at which two things are joined or united. The joint then is passed on from the female to the male. In this way, Kubrick stresses the joint between both female and male. In other words, Kubrick stresses that the characters are joint or redeemable. Also, we already know from part 1 that Alice Harford has 12 letters and William Harford has 14 letters. Between 12 and 14 lies 13. And it's Alice and William's daughter, Helena Harford, that has 13 letters. So it's Helena who's between Alice and William. Or in other words, it's Helena who's both Alice and William. This is stressed by William's arm, that is in front of Alice's womb, out of which a new third character was formed. A character that was both Alice and William. In this way, Helena is the joining element of the Harford family. And it's quite curious to know that this also makes sense in a geographical way. Nicole Kidman, who plays Alice, was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. Tom Cruise, who plays William, was born in Syracuse, New York. And Madison Edgerton, who plays Helena, was born in Los Angeles, California, which lies almost exactly between Syracuse and Honolulu. So also geographically, Helena is between her parents. She is both.